Okay, this is it. The best way to start is just to start something, right? You can talk about something for a long time. You can think about it. You can tell your homies, I'm going to do this thing, but you don't really start it until you start it. That's how you start a podcast. So welcome to this. This is a pilot episode of DEADCELL, the podcast. Me and Grim Ripper have been talking about doing this for a while. There's been a few FPV podcasts, that have been made. FPV Show being one of the greatest ones. Mr. Steele, ongoing, does a podcast a little infrequently, but they still do one over there. And we're like, hey, we want to make one too. We want to be consistent, make a weekly podcast. So here we are. I, of course, am Bachgrinder, and this, of course, is Grim Ripper. What a better duo than to be bringing you a podcast every single week. So, do you agree? Do you agree, Grim?
No.
Oh, there's a better duo. You're right.
I'm just kidding. I agree. Yes, and I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes, and.
well, let's just get it out. What would be your dream duo? What would be your dream duo podcasters in the FPV community? Which two people?
Actually, my dream duo would be Trappy and the guy from Race Day Quads.
Trappy and Tyler.
Yeah.
Nothing would get done. That would be good. That'd be entertainment, though. I would. Yeah, me. A lot of people. I'm sure you. A lot of us would pay to hear Trappy and Tyler's interact.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, there's like 30-year-old. It's like 140-year-old drama with their families, previous generations, that's carried over into the new age. So it's a whole
serious?
thing. We'll do a deep dive on it later. Yeah,
I
dude.
didn't know that. That's
98% serious, I think, maybe.
A family feud. A legit family feud. I didn't think those existed anymore.
Yeah, it's some Hackett and McCoy old school shit, man. It goes back in time.
Wild. Cool. So today what we want to talk about, I think we've got a couple of things I think we want to kind of address.
We got some bullet points. We got some things written down because we're professionals.
Yeah, we're very professional.
For you, what was your reasoning for wanting to start a podcast?
One of a very similar reason in that the content online for FPV is there's good content out there. There's good stuff. But it seems that there's not a lot of well-rounded content, I guess. There's some. I'm not saying there's none. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I think that there could be more. And I think that us doing something like this could hopefully inspire other people to do more things like this. Ultimately, that's a big reason, because FPV is very, very locked in to people who only fly. And I would love it to be able to create content that is accessible to more people to learn more about FPV.
They branch out into the RC factions and stuff. I like that.
It's hard for some people to watch just someone flying a drone. It's nauseating for some people. So having content about it, that maybe there are people that may be interested in it that don't get sick from watching it, and then we find new FPV pilots, with our podcast. So stuff like that. It's kind of a big thing.
I like that.
Yeah.
I can dig. For me, so I did WGDP, the world's greatest drone pilots, with Wombat. I love Wombat, but he doesn't really fly as much, or he's not very, as active in FPV. And you brought it up, and you're very active. You're always making content. You're always, I see all over the internet doing FPV stuff. So I was like, yeah, man, I'd be down. I want to start another podcast with somebody's active in the community right now and shit. Shout out to Wombat though. WGDP was the funnest shit ever. But that was kind of like a grindcore podcast. It was like 15 minutes, you know what I mean? Just real quick and real silly. I want this one to slightly more serious. Of course, we're still going to have fun and shit, but it's going to be a little longer. I think what we decide on 30 minutes or so per episode, 30, 45 minutes, depending.
Yeah.
And it just, I do want to do FPV Show used to do deep dives. They did a whole C rating thing, a C rating expose. I would love to do how props are made, get on some prop companies, get on some people that actually make the stuff that we use and talk to them. I don't know how the fuck props are made. Do you? There's molds and plastic. That's all I know. Besides that, I would like to know. I think that'd be fun.
Like what? Like the molding, how they make the molds and everything. Because
everything.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know all I can. I think it'd be fun to research that, and make podcast episodes related to RC and the things that we use. It doesn't have to just be that episode. Of course, we're gonna bounce around, but I think a little bit of educational content would be fun.
Yeah, I definitely want to do some stuff instead of just in the studio type podcast, I would also like to, if we're going to figure out how props are made, I would like to interview somewhere, maybe on location somewhere, talk to somebody about it, at some point, stuff like that.
Definitely, yeah,
Make it a little more
definitely.
dynamic, because in that way it's not just us sitting in our office chairs talking about props.
Right,
You
right.
know.
But so that
But
was our explanation of what we want to do. I guess that probably leaves you with more questions than answers, but we have no idea. We have no idea what we're doing. That's the whole point. We're going to grow. You're going to grow with us as we go and turn this into whatever it's going to be. And we settled on the name DEADCELL.
that's a good name.
I think DEADCELL is good. There was already a Dead Band, so we couldn't take that, so it's DEADCELL.
That's a good one because it's relatable to
It's the
FPV.
merch. It's going to be sick.
The merch.
Wait till we get shirts.
The merch and the logos. The artwork's gonna be great. Yeah.
What did you do this week? Should we go?
Well,
Should we jump into it? Did you have anything else on that
No.
portion
I
of the
think
show?
I think we got it. What did I
Cool.
do this week?
So what the fuck did you do this week? What did you and hundreds of other people do this week?
Well, first of all, what I did this past week up until this weekend, I flew 5 kilometers for the first time, which was kind of
Congrats.
sick.
Congrats.
And
I watched
then-
that live. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. And then I flew at freestyle, whatever, normal shit. But then I went to Rampage.
Rampage. Let's talk about this. Take us through it. Take us through your
I will.
experience.
So initially I was
buying the $300 tickets. I just had to get that in there. That was my jab. Buying the $7,000 tickets and go.
Yes. Yeah, so I took out like a loan for like $20,000 so I could go.
Understandable.
And but initially I wasn't going to go because I didn't really want to support Rotor Riot because there's just stuff, whatever.
Right.
But all my friends were going, and I'm like, on Thursday, I'm sitting in my at home, and I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do this weekend? All my friends are going to Rampage. Maybe I should just go. I know it's $300, but whatever. Fuck it, it'll be content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I FOMO'd. I went, and honestly, my concept of the video that I'm doing is Rampage worth $300? And it's sort of like a joke, but also I think I'm not sure because I don't know what they spent. I don't know like how much they're making per person off of it, so I can't know any of that information. But the place that they're at was pretty awesome. I don't know if you had been when they started doing it there,
I went to the first year.
but at that facility,
Yeah.
the government training facility or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much
Same
was
spot.
it then? How much was it then?
I think it was like $75 or something like that. And then everybody complained that was too much back then. So I snuck like 10 people in because like you don't want to pay for this bullshit. I got you, dog. But yeah, they've really ramped up the price, and from what I've seen, haven't really ramped up the activities. But go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. There were drift cars this year. Did they have drift cars?
I was gonna say that was a new thing I hadn't seen before was the drift cars.
So they had drift cars, and then I don't know what. Again, I don't know what they charge or whatever. $300. I don't fucking care, honestly. Like the thing is that at the end of the day, it was a good time, and I met a lot of people that I wouldn't have met if I didn't do that. So like, I would have preferred it not to cost me $300, but at the same time, like, it is what it is, and I'm glad that I did it because, again, I met like really cool people. I got to just like get my name into the FPV community a little bit more. Most of the Rotor Riot people that seem pretty cool overall from what I met. Most people were pretty cool that I met. Like, I didn't meet anybody that was like, I don't like this person.
Did you get recognized? Did people recognize you going there?
I was recognized a couple of times, which was
How-
really strange.
how'd that feel?
considering I don't have a huge following. How'd it feel? I don't know if I liked it or not. Honestly, I don't know. It's cool, I guess, to see that people like the shit that I'm making. Right? There's that, but then also, in general, I find it strange that people approach. I didn't experience this because like I'm just I don't have the subscriber number that everyone else does because really that's what's in people's minds. But the way that people approach like the bigger guys like Steel and etc. It's kind of weird because it's like grown ass dudes almost acting like teenage girls around like boy bands and shit. You know what I mean?
I've noticed a lot of times that when I'm at events and shit, there'll be somebody kind of like just hovering in my peripheral, and they always want to like say something or take a picture or whatever. Like I'll be having a conversation with somebody, and I see somebody like hovering here, and I always stop my conversation. I'm like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? And every time, like 100% of the time, it's somebody like, hey, can I take a photo real quick or whatever? I'm like, yeah, I got you. Like that's tight. And then I was like, that's weird to just hover and stand there forever. But then I notice every time I fucking go hang out with Steele and he's talking to somebody, I do the same thing. Like I want to get him on a part for a video or some shit, or not just Steele, but like that's a good reference for me with some other people. I just kind of stand there. I'm like, do I go ask now? No, fuck. Like, no, this is the right time. Like shit. So I'm just like awkwardly standing there. And I feel like a lot of times people don't notice that. So they just like continue. And then I'll turn around and I'll fucking leave, you know, but I feel like people are socially awkward and afraid to approach you. So it's up to like the person, like be conscious of your surroundings and shit and engage with people. You know what I mean? Somebody wants to talk to you. They might not have the most like the best social skills. So for me anyway, and I try to be conscious of that and talk to everybody if I see them and shit.
For sure. Yeah. I had had a conversation with Steele. I didn't like go up to him. He just was sitting at the table. He just happened to sit at the table that I was sitting at, and we just started talking. And I wasn't like drones or whatever. I didn't talk to him about drones at all. It was just like whatever. I wasn't trying to, because I know I don't want to like. I'm not trying to like bother. You know what I mean? It's enough that you have to go to like the place where everyone knows who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, have everyone want to talk to you. But also, like, he knows that, you know, and like, there's probably, he's like, he just gets it. He just is like, at this point, he's probably like, whatever.
At this point, yeah, exactly. He's got his system.
I'm not trying to go up to somebody and talk to them like that. Even though I did go up to Bardwell and ask him to help me, if he could help me with something. So, but whatever. I just felt like it.
That was survival tactic, though.
Yeah, I think my ESC broke or something, but.
I just want to say the first time I met Steele, he was like, "You're the roadkill guy," and I was just like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" But then I remember one of my videos early on, I did an outro where I was like laying down on roadkill, and like later on, a few days later, I was like, "Oh, roadkill guy, I get it now."
Be cognizant of who you bother. Anyway, so you
can bother me anytime.
And you can bother me too.
Patrons only. Patrons only.
Yeah, $10 for a picture. $30 in your video. All right, so I'm just kidding. So Rampage, yeah. So I flew a couple packs, and I could have flown a lot more. That's a big thing I was concerned about.
That's a question a lot of people ask because traditionally, the past couple of years, people are like, you don't get to fly that much. You know what I mean? So it's not really worth it. But you're saying you got the.
If your quad is functioning, you can fly a lot.
All right.
Bando Land was not always busy like I thought it was going to be. And then the Nook, which is the other side of that same building, was not always busy where they did that dive. The problem is I think my ESC was messed up, so I kept burning motors. And so I couldn't really fly.
Oh, fuck. That shit's annoying.
Yeah, so I couldn't really fly. I flew, but I did fly enough, I feel like. I flew like maybe 15 packs. And overall, that's cool. But more than anything, it was worth it just to go and be there. That
came out to $20 a pack, just so you know.
Yeah, so $20 a pack roughly. So, but then they gave me a free battery and a bag with props in it.
Yeah, a little goodie bag. That's cool at least.
A decent neck strap, like as good if not better than the newbie drone one.
Oh, that's a tall claim.
Well,
that is the industry standard lanyard right now. Is the newbie drone lanyard. I've hit newbie drone up a couple times. Like, who do y'all use? By the way, randomly. They will not release that information. They have that under lock.
Well, I think Red Riot might know too because they have it's almost identical.
Yeah, they probably slipped one in.
Real quick tangent. What I would want to do with a strap is I would want to get one that's like made out of almost like a seatbelt material, and then put a soft pad around it because that'd be like really tight. I don't know how that would feel though.
Are you familiar with camera neck straps? They have like nice neoprene foam shit, and then a nice little fucking buckle. I've wanted to repurpose camera straps into FPV straps before. I think that would make a good one.
You basically can. I think I don't really use the neck straps though, to be honest, anymore.
You're a free climber, free hanger.
But overall, I would say that Rotor Riot was fun, and I'm glad I went. And I don't think that I do want to say there were a couple cool things that happened. I didn't almost kill, but I came in really hot on this landing and Vanover, like looked like
Mr. Galvani.
he looked like he was gonna shit himself when he saw this drone coming in. And the situation was funny and I felt kind of bad because I go up to the flight line and there's all these people there and they're like, so people are flying and I'm like, and then they're talking about the freestyle competition. I was like, is this flight line closing? Because I wanted to do that gap again and I want to do some more stuff in that spot because I didn't get the opportunity to. And they're like, yeah, the flight line's closing. And I was like, man. And Cricket said, one more pack here for whatever. And I was like, oh, can I fly? And he's like, yeah, it's cool. And then people are flying and they're like, never mind. This is the last pack actually. And Cricket's like, no, he can fly. Let him. And said I could fly. And I was the only one in the air. So this is the thing. All these people are standing around waiting for me to finish flying. And then I could sense, the thing is I could sense that everyone wanted to like move on. I was like, all right, I'm done. I got to quit. You know what I mean? So like I come into land and I was going to do a skid landing, but I was coming in like way too fast. And so like so you could just like where the quad was coming and I was going down. I wasn't going to hit anybody, but like Vanover just like crouches down in like fear. And then, and then it just fucking skids in. And then, no one really, but then it was so funny because then all I hear in the background is Vanover on the megaphone, like, all right, guys, it's time to go. Like, you know, in like this super like uppity, like as if nothing happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, sorry, guys.
Are we going up those stairs? All right, you guys ready for a walk? Let's go on a walk. Come on.
So,
I would like to touch on crowd etiquette when
Yeah.
you're flying at events. If you're flying with 5 people and all 4 of them land and you have a 13-minute pack, come back and land. Not saying you, I'm talking about everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody. If you have an extra 4 minutes and come fucking land, you know what I mean? Especially if somebody crashes. And if they're out there crashing the field waiting for everybody to land, come fucking land so their VTX doesn't burn up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people don't really think about that. I did it my first year. People yelled at me like, fucking land, bro. Come on. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I didn't realize everybody else was down. Like, you're waiting on me. Just a little pro tip for everybody. A little courteous tip there for events.
Yeah, I definitely, the one thing too is I was not on my peak performance this weekend either. So,
never will be. Any event you go to, you're going to fly like shit until the last day usually. And then you'll might get some good packs in.
I did get one good.
It's nerves. Did you get nerves
I got
at
one
all?
good pack in though. So that's all I care.
Nice.
So, that was good. And, yeah, so I would say like it was definitely worth it. And I told Cricket that I should have just paid for you to come in and then like gave a fake name. Yeah.
Me?
I said I should.
Fuck.
I know.
I
know
would
you
not
wouldn't.
go. That I would more likely go to Walmart and then order something from Amazon on my phone inside of a Walmart than I would go to give Rampage any.
There's only like one, but yeah, exactly. But there's probably only like one person there that you're not happy with, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Me personally, yeah, I have a lot of ops that don't like me, but as far as me disliking somebody out, there's like maybe 1 or 2 people that would be there. So no, I would definitely have fun. That is the main draw of shit like that. Is seeing all the homies. You know what I mean? It's not supporting Road Riot exactly. It's seeing all your friends and hanging out at a big group FPV event. That's why I support everybody going because it's fun. You know what I mean? I'm just like, it's too much money in my opinion, man. For that, that's fucking crazy. It's insane. No other event costs that much.
Castle Crash is gonna be sick though.
That's going to be fun. Castle Crash 2.0. I want to try to host Drone Thunderdome, Drone Demolition Derby, whatever. You know, 3 drones enter, 1 drone leaves, last one flying wins. I think that'd be pretty fun.
I'm stoked for Castle Crash. I'm stoked. And then Specimen's was telling me about IO, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that because he's like, there's going to be a freestyle field, but I don't know if it's like set up. And I mean, that'll be fun to get out there and like fly with people and stuff and hang out. But
yeah, it is. I've been at 3 IOs. I helped run the freestyle track during one of the years. It's enough. It's enough to have fun. For sure. Shit.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm like, it's like 2 hours from me. So, or something like that. So it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's not, fuck it. I can't go. It's my girlfriend's birthday that exact weekend. So we're going to be doing birthday shit. I can't make it to IO. But there's also Beast of the East, June 9th, I believe. Beast of the East. Long Island, big old FPV meetup. They did it last year. It was super sick. So they're doing another one this year as well.
I mean, it's also the thing that I gotta go. I'm going to Philadelphia at the end of July. So, then I just went to Denver.
Yep.
So it's like, how many things can I actually realistically go to? Yeah.
All of them. Why not? Go to all of them. Fuck it. Quit your job and just be an FPV nomad.
I mean, I don't have a lot of work right now. So my goal right now is just trying to build up my following and try to make money off that. So before I go poor.
It's possible.
So
yeah.
Oh, I know. So then, yeah. So it was fun. That's it. Nothing.
Oh yeah. Glad you had a good time. I'm glad everybody had a good time.
Yeah, nothing bad to say about it. So that was good.
Did you get to fly any long range out there?
Well, on the way back, in like West Virginia, I think we were there in Virginia or West Virginia. I don't remember what state, but there were just mountains, and I just flew and lost video at one point, and then GPS rescued, and it came back. So damn. I think I decided that 03. I'm taking DJI off that thing and putting HD0 on it.
No 3 for long range.
No, I mean I like it because it's like a once sort of a solution to have like decent video and a long range link. But my issue is that like with DJI, it's like either you have video or you don't have video. You know what I mean? Like
that's
it stops. Scary. It did stop. Like you said, it did blacked out, but it came back. It comes back, but it does black out. Unlike analog or HD0, you just get like snow or rainbow.
And it comes back, and as soon as you throttle up a little bit. Let's discuss long range FPV, huh?
Let's talk about your long range. Your recent one, maybe?
Yeah, my 8 kilometers out, 8 kilometers back. This was my record. My previous record was on analog, and that was at 6 kilometers. And then HD0, my record was 4, just because I turned around at 4 because that was the goal or whatever. But I said, you know what? I need to beat this. I need to double it. 8 kilometers. So that's what I did. I went out to New Jersey on the beach, and in the video I said this too. But my 4 kilometer HD0 rip. I was in Delaware in a rural area, but there were still houses and stuff underneath me. I'm done doing that for long range and shit. There's no more. It wasn't sketch. It wasn't dangerous or anything, but I feel like the optics of it are kind of bad with the FAA cracking down on shit right now. The beyond visual line of sight is the only issue they're really trying to get people on. And long range, that they can zero in on that because you are going super far. You have no deniability. So I figure to negate as much as I can, I'm going to just fly over the ocean. That's fuck it. If they're like, oh, you're in trouble now for flying over the ocean, like big what the fuck ever, you know what I mean? So I went to the ocean, nothing I can harm except for a couple fucking whales. How many whales could be in the ocean anyway? How many animals? They're all way out there. So I sat down on the beach. I flew 8 kilometers out, 8 kilometers back with no issues whatsoever. It was probably my smoothest long range flight I've ever had. It was pretty fucking crazy. Very nerve wracking. If you've never flown long range, it is a different beast. Like, going out is cool. It's like, oh, I'm a little nervous. Look how far I'm going, but everything's going well. Then you turn around and come back, and you're like, shit, I have to do what I just did all over again, but now it's on the way back. And that's when I think the nerves really come in, and like, that's when you gotta just remember your training and not mess anything up. That was my record.
Yeah, and also with those lithium ion packs, you have to fly like super
Yeah, you
slow.
can't give it a lot of throttle. Can't drain it.
I mean, do yours come back hot? Your batteries come back hot?
This one did not. I was using the dark lithium double pack, big ass one. Did not. It was fine. It was room temperature, as were my motors, which was strange because my last flight they came back pretty warm. It's not tuned or anything. It vibrates a little bit, but I don't know if it's because it was over the ocean and cooler maybe over the ocean. Is that a thing? But no, battery was room temperature, as were the motors. It was kind of weird.
When I sent mine over like the mountains, just like we just did like 3 kilometers. Because I was just going up to this mountain. Like, it was a really small mountain. I don't even know if it was a mountain or a hill. You know what I mean? But it was more than what I have in Ohio. And I got there and I got back, and the battery was warm. And my friend's like, wait, did you make this battery? I was like, yeah, I made this battery. He's like, you sent your drone 3 kilometers on a battery you made? I was like, yeah. He's like,
a drone you
insane.
built on a battery you made.
Yeah, exactly. Which, when I think about it, I'm like, that is kind of insane. But
yeah, it is a little wild.
I don't think
it's a little crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely something that I mean, it's either I make it or like, someone in China makes it.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably do it a little bit better on a factory, but
it's I think there's that much more pride in it, you know what I mean? Because you built that drone and shit yourself, that battery, did it all your fucking self. What are you gonna do? Fucking cut the carbon? The next step.
Yeah, it's cheap, and it's cheaper for me to build my own batteries.
Oh, for sure.
Like I can get good prices on lithium ion batteries when they're on sale for like, $3 or whatever. That's way cheaper than buying. I don't know how much but yours are like 5,000.
Yeah, 5,000. The one I used was a double, so it was 10 amp hours.
Yeah. How much is
That's
that?
$200 for the double pack. It's $100 for the single, 200 for the big one. And my thing is, like, a lot of times people leave comments like, you can just make your own for way cheap. Yeah, I could, but like, I don't want to get a spot welder. I don't want to source batteries. I don't trust my fucking craftsmanship skills on batteries. I don't want that sitting around my house. You know what I mean? Like, I trust these companies that make it for a living. So I'm cool with paying a few extra bucks just for that peace of mind. But that's me. You know what I mean? A lot of people are more handier than I am.
I don't I'm stupid and I don't have a spot welder. I just solder it.
Yeah, you can, but those can come off. And then you're fucking. That's what scares me.
If they come off if it gets too hot or
they can, or if they get damaged or anything. Yeah. Or if it's just a cold weld, can fucking come off.
Yeah, I know, because they're not supposed to be welded. They're not supposed to be. Soldered.
Supposed to be spot.
Yeah,
welded.
I think I'm gonna get I'm probably gonna get a spot welder anyway.
With Li-ions, I've never had an issue with Li-ion. That's all I trust for long range. The LiPo doesn't work so well for long range. You need that fucking good discharge rate and shit of a Li-ion. My shit, when I did that 8 kilometers, it was at 3.8 forever for like fucking 5 kms or some shit. In the video, you can see like that shit does not move till the end. It was sturdy the whole time.
Yeah, that's another reason why with DJI's video. Like the goggles that I have, the big V2 goggles, you can't get OSD in the DVR from the O3 Air unit. You have to have the newer goggles. And I'm just
oh, that's right.
I'm done with it. And the only reason I had purchased DJI to begin with was because my friends flew it, and I kept having issues with analog with them. But now with the O3 Air units, it works really, and that's what they fly. They work so well with analog and HD0 that like we have no issues. So I'm just going to do that again. And I don't know if I'm going to sell my DJI stuff or not, but I'm definitely not going to be focusing on it.
I see that as kind of a trend. I see a lot of people that started with DJI anyway, never having tried analog or HD0 or anything. And then they try HD0 and they're like, yo, this is fast. Like, this feels good. And that's something like I guess you don't know. If you grew up, if you started on DJI, you just have no idea about like low latency shit and how that feels. And even with long range, I want that better. I don't want my video to freeze or stutter. Breaking up and then being able to go higher in the air and having that video come back is so much more confidence for me.
Another thing is that my big issue with HD0 is the penetration, but it hasn't been that bad. But I do notice if I go behind something, I can get through it, but it's not super desirable all the time. But I work with it. You know what I mean? It's just like you either have that or you have slower response times and you don't get to do things as fast.
That's what it is. It's HD0, as they say, is analog 2.0. It's HD analog, and it is, and I think that's where it has the strong point. With digital, you're either going to deal with stutter and lag, a variable latency that a lot of people can't handle, or you deal with some breakup and some snow, but you get, what is it, under 5 milliseconds glass to glass or some crazy shit. A fixed latency.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Is like at Rampage. So I was with Billy Hackett at the flight line and Steele, and they're talking about analog being like, those guys are like analog's the thing, right? For them, because that's just how they fly, and they're like digital just isn't there, and I was like HD0 for me is fine. And Steele's like, yeah, but HD0 is just the breakup sucks, or like he's like the penetration is awful, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. But I feel like with my setup, I don't have like that bad of it's not that bad with the true RC antennas.
I feel like that was true. I feel like it was true last year. The penetration sucked, but with the 90, I'm running a 90 camera and a whip antenna. and I'm getting fantastic. I go behind buildings. Like if you look at the DVR in my videos, like I'm going behind shit and it's not breaking up that bad at all. Completely flyable. And as far as range, like I did, 8 kilometers out. I definitely had some breakup out there, but I was flying just fine. I could see the ocean and shit. I could see the sky. They're continuing to improve it a lot.
Someone's got to get steal your setup, your HD0 setup, because
I think you would like it. I think you'd really like it.
Because the whip is it's strangely better, and I use the patches, the True RC patches on the front of the goggles and the stubs, and I find that like if I'm facing the right direction, they work really well.
Yeah, a whip antenna is a dirtier antenna. You know what I mean? If it's too sloppy, it just signals all over the place. So I think digital video, because DJI here is good on whips too. So I guess digital video is just good about taking that signal wherever it's coming from. It doesn't have to be like analog, like specifically shot out in the cone to your goggles. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I don't know how it works.
Fucking me either, man. I just know whip antennas be working on HD0, and now I get damn good range and penetration on it.
That's a podcast idea. We need to figure out how the antennas work.
So anything else to say on long range? Well, I want to say if you haven't tried long range, try long range. It's super fun. It's a lot different, especially if you just like race or do freestyle. It's a whole different type of it can be relaxing, but it's a whole different type of stress. Battery management, wind management, the drone, like getting that set up and everything, your weight to power ratio, like deciding how far you can send it on that setup and bringing it back and everything. It's pretty fun. I would definitely recommend everybody give it a try. And if you're going to fly out far, do it over the water or some shit, because the FAA be tripping right now.
I'd also recommend that anyone who would want to fly far, make sure you've been flying for consistently for 6 months, regularly at least. And if you're going to fly, do it slow. Don't just go out there with a drone and try 8 miles right off the bat or whatever. You know what I mean? Don't just full definitely send it, because there is a lot to consider. I saw some Joshua Barbell clip today about a long range build, and it said someone was asking him a question that was very beginner focused, and he's like, first of all, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to answer your question, but first of all, I need to say that if you are not an experienced pilot, I would not recommend doing long range.
I agree.
I would recommend only an intermediate pilot, someone who's moderately, skilled. You don't have to be a fucking badass freestyle pilot. You just have to be able to control the drone.
Yeah, and recognize the warning signs of a drone that might be acting funny, because you don't want something bad to go wrong a mile out.
Yeah, exactly. Because me, I just decided to fly into, when I first tried it, I took a little 5-inch AOS and tried to send it just somewhere, into the wind. I was over farmland, so there was nothing there. It's not like there was any danger for anybody, but the wind caught it, and then video loss. And I didn't know what I was doing, so I lost a drone. So that's best case scenario. In the worst, a bad scenario, but the best case scenario is that you lose the drone. Worst case scenario is it falls on a house.
Yeah, you lose it and you damage somebody's property and get in trouble. Yeah,
exactly.
Hit somebody. So now, fuck that. Always test your return to home before you fly it all the way out and everything. Always do a location check, fly it around for a little bit. If I go to a new spot, I'll fly a pack around just to get satellites to make sure everything's working properly, nothing's overheating. Although this 8-kilometer flight, I just fucking put a battery on and sent it. I didn't check return to home. I didn't check shit. I was if it crashes, it's going in the water, so whatever.
Well, those new M10 GPSs, which I have the MQ10, whatever the Maytech one, the satellites show up immediately.
Mm-hmm. So nice. And I use the external battery bank in my flight controller to power my GPS, so my VTX doesn't overheat while I'm waiting. But I don't think I've waited more than 10 minutes. It's usually just a few minutes.
That's a good idea to power it with the USB. I think mine's on the 4v5, so I can power it via USB as well. And then I can just do that. But it shows up pretty quickly when I do it. So that's the thing too with HD0 is that you have to monitor the heat.
Yeah. The goggles, though, have a little temp gauge.
Yeah, I know. Then it starts to turn on fire. The signals are so good.
There's a little skull when your battery gets too low. Yeah, I love all that shit. HD0 is fucking fun, man.
Yeah, exact. I had a skull recently, and I ended up in the water because I didn't pay attention to it.
Speaking of water, there's a stream on the FPV park land. That was my segue to it.
Yeah, we can do FPV park.
FPV park.
Yeah, people were asking me about, not asking me about that, but people were talking about it. And I felt like I had the most information out of anybody at Rampage. So I was just like telling people all this information.
Yeah, I feel like I try to update everybody the best I can. I do in the Discord on Instagram and my community stories or whatever on YouTube. But basically, the park as it stands now is where we got $36,000. We found a 10-acre piece of land 2 hours outside of Pittsburgh. It's in a super relaxed building code county. Nobody give a shit. There's not a lot around. There's like one house next to it. That's it. We're putting an offer in a couple weeks. That's the news. Hopefully, we can put an offer in for way less than 36 grand and have some money we need to make a road. Basically, it's all dirt and grass and stuff. So we're gonna need to get a gravel truck out there to make a road so people have somewhere to drive back and then park and everything. And then you can walk from there or whatever.
That's more cost too.
So. Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's why we're trying to get it cheap so we can get the initial infrastructure that we need to get cars and equipment back there and everything to start working on it. But the ultimate idea with the park is, especially with the FAA nowadays cracking down on everything, I feel like we're going to need to start building these little skate parks all over the country, these little drone parks that's accessible to everybody. So we have somewhere to fly, you know what I mean? Because if they start squeezing in more and more in our airspace and we have nowhere to go, at least we can have some private property, but, open to the public, place for people to go and fly their fucking drones and have fun, do freestyle and shit, you know what I mean? So this park, I want to be the test grounds, the first one. Let's buy some land. Let's see if it's feasible to make a drone park, a community drone park for everybody to fly in. If it's successful, let's do more.
Do you think that they crack down on that though? On that type of stuff? Because the airspace they regulate anyway?
I mean, if it's private property and you're not flying above the trees, it's really going to take a fucking somebody having a bad day to call the police on in a rural county, somebody hanging out with their friends flying drones. Then it's going to take an asshole fucking cop or whoever to come out there and actually do something about it on private property.
Yeah, exactly.
I think as long as we stay below the trees, that's really going to help a lot. Like, who the fuck are we hurting?
Yeah, that's 90% of the flying that we do is like under trees.
That's what kind of enrages me about this remote ID shit is like a remote ID for a freestyle quad that never really goes above, 50 feet off the ground. That is pretty much in visual line of sight the whole time and shit. Like, It's makes no sense whatsoever to put remote ID on a freestyle quad. I get long range. I get AP DJI drones flying 4 miles over the city. It's like a fucking airplane. You want to have an ID on it, a little license plate. I actually understand that. I actually totally fucking understand that. Don't like it. Totally understand it though. But on a freestyle quad, I do not understand that. That makes no fucking sense.
And I also think that I don't think that they're going to enforce freestyle drones. They're not going to come out you know what I mean? I don't think they're going to be from what I've heard. I have a friend who does Part 107. Not that he knows anything more, but I mean, he thinks like that the FAA doesn't really care as much about FPV, and they're more concerned with the DJI drones because a lot of it, like, I don't know if you're familiar with like people with DJI drones going to over the forest fires and shit, and like literally limiting the ability for helicopters to land because there were DJI drones flying, like first responders. So like the FAA, I think, is more concerned with those types of things. And so like they can't just be like, oh, well, only these drones, not FPV drones. But the DIY home builds that people aren't going to put remote, I don't think they're going to care as much.
I don't think so either, but that selective enforcement just leaves the door open to prosecute people they want to prosecute. You know what I mean? So your average fucking dad that's out there on the weekends, if his cop buddy rolls by, probably ain't gonna do shit. But some fucking kid or somebody that they got a hard on to bust, they're gonna be able to use that law to fucking bust that person.
Yeah, that's
why
true.
I really don't think we should be like, well, it's probably only gonna be this, so we should. No, we need to fucking fight this shit. But
no, I get it.
My concession is GPS drones. If your drone has a GPS on it, that's a remote ID. That's remote ID craft. You need to put remote ID on it. And I'm not trying to throw long range people under the bus or anything, because I enjoy my long range too, obviously. But DJI drones all have GPS and shit in them. Those should have remote IDs. You're flying long range, 399 feet, 4 miles out. Sure. I get it. I'll put a remote ID on my GPS fucking drone, but nothing else, man. It's fucking dumb to put on a freestyle quad or a micro or something like that.
But a freestyle quad is the same thing as like going to a parking lot and driving a RC car.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And the FAA is refusing to acknowledge that, or is so out of touch with the community they have no fucking idea. They're just like drone. There's four blades on it. Drone. Yeah.
Drone. Exactly.
You got all the propellers. That's the FPV drone. You can't fly that and have fun. It makes no fucking sense unless. And the rumor is the FAA as an organization doesn't exactly care that much. They're getting outside pressure from lobbyists and shit to do something about the airspace and limit the airspace so that they can have other types of UAVs in the air and shit, which I think is just going to be police drones. I don't think there's going to be no delivery shit. I think they're just trying to clear the air for police drones. But that's my my conspiracy theory.
Like the battery technology for delivery drones doesn't make sense. Like,
oh yeah, no, they're still regulated the same shit that we have. Maybe better capacity and discharge, but still the same technology, lithium ion and
How much stuff could you deliver to where it's actually like makes sense economically? Before you know what I mean? It's not much,
especially in cities like in Philadelphia. Power lines are above ground, so like unless that zip line system. First of all, somebody's yanking that shit down and taking the drone. Like, that would not work around here.
Oh, yeah.
And number two, the drone couldn't get close because we have power lines everywhere. And then the big buildings everywhere and shit. Crazy birds everywhere. I don't see it feasible.
As soon as Amazon puts up a drone, there's going to be somebody building fucking disruptors to knock them out of the air.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Even in that Mark Rober video, too, they... where he got a toothbrush or some dumb shit, and he was like, the medical applications, and I would watch that, I was like, bullshit. We're talking about the medical applications, but even your own example is just a toothbrush. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, this is going to be used for convenience for consuming. It's not going to be used for life-saving shit. That's just your foot in the door for your fucking naysayers, Yeah, exactly. I just think there's too many, drones are super cool technology, and they're exploding everywhere, from movies to delivery to fucking everything. And people want that airspace. It's not that well regulated right now underneath, $399. Companies want that shit. They want to be able to fly their drones without consumers and hobbyists in the fucking way.
Oh, yeah, I know. It sucks. But it's a hard thing to fight, too, because if you can build a drone and put it in the air, there's no way to track that. Yeah.
And again, like guns or whatever, the bad guys aren't going to be using remote ID. It's only going to affect people that are just trying to have fun and like do their own hobby.
Exactly. So,
especially DIY drones, anybody can fucking. Obviously, look at me. Anybody can learn how to make a drone and fly it around and shit.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can make a drone. Mm-hmm. Well,
I like how the FPV. Yeah, almost. I like how the FPV park topic turned into FAA rant. It's easy to circle back to like FAA rant.
Well, I was just trying to figure out if like. Because people are like, oh, you got to do a FRIA. And I'm like, well.
No, I don't want those assholes involved. Fuck no. I don't want the government involved in the park.
No, like, that's what I'm saying. You should just, like, the property should just be private property of, like, whatever the fuck.
Private property that all my friends are allowed to go to.
And people just happen to show up and fly drones.
I just have a lot of friends everywhere. And the thing, if you did a FRIA, CBO, if you went their route, who's to say they're not going to change the rules on you? And they're going to be locked into fucking doing things the way they want to do it? Fuck that shit, man. Fuck that. We're just going to keep doing our thing, flying safely, flying cautiously and respectfully until they fucking come around to it. Like we've been self-policing in model aviation for 50 years. You know what I mean? Why the fuck do they need to come along now and start messing with it?
So I want to talk about a little bit about like what kind of attractions you think you want to have at this park, like when it comes to like obstacles and like stuff like that. Like, what do you plan on building stuff, but also like bringing stuff in, maybe?
Oh, definitely. I like ideally initially what we would do is bring in like a couple containers and a third one to stack on it for a bunch of power loops and stuff. And then I really, really have this idea in my head. I want to build like faux building walls, like fake skyscrapers that have dive gaps and things going all the way down, or like shit you can wall ride like that. But we'll paint them up like it's a fake fucking building, like a movie set style, just to start. Have a little fucking thing. But the land we're looking at, if we get it, it's long, so it can be more like an FPV snake run than like a square park or whatever. You can go out and back and hit shit and just do like lines for days on it, which is I think pretty freaking cool. So I would just have containers, the things on the sides, and then whatever else. Like if there's an old RV with like some big windows, we can park there, cut a big fucking hole in it for a power loop or something. Do that. Definitely make use of trash and what's around the area
exactly.
to make obstacles. Spend as little money as possible on lumber and stuff. I would love to be able to cut down trees and just use that lumber for shit, make power loops out of it or whatever.
Yeah, because I was thinking like if you find shipping containers and stuff like that. I don't know how easy that kind of thing is to come by, like older stuff, like broken down cranes, broken down industrial equipment. Like the Rampage place that had a bunch of shit like that was just there, or whatever. Like,
just obstacles. Yeah, that's what I want. I want to bring some trash in and make cool stuff out of it. Paint it all up, make it super cool.
Yeah, and have you thought about like multiple? Are you gonna try to have multiple flight lines, like multiple like places, so that so you can have like if a lot of people decide to show up, like you have like an event, and you can have like lots of flight lines. So then that way, like you don't have like 100 people waiting to fly one spot.
In the beginning, no. I think we're just gonna have the park. You know what I mean? And then if we have events, we can figure that out later. We're just gonna expand on it, as we go. I'm not gonna get too try to make it too big in the beginning. I'm just gonna make our initial little area and then go from there and build it out. And I think eventually we'll be able to do that. 10 acres. I think we'll be able to split that up and have a few flight lines down the road. But in the beginning, I just want to have one really nice main section, like that we can fly and stuff.
10 acres is massive.
It's really big. I want to have a crawler track on there, a super cool like RC crawler track. I want to have a race, whatever, like buggy track for racing and shit, RC cars. I want it to not only be drones,
Are you gonna have like running water or power?
There's power poles that run through the property, so all we have to do is put in a meter. So boom, we have electricity there basically as soon as we pay for it. Water, there's a freshwater spring adjacent to the property. I guess you can drink water there. But I don't know, like sewage and shit, I'm probably just gonna have to dig a big old hole and make some outhouses and stuff. But my plan, if we had big events, is just to rent porta potties. But for everyday use, we're definitely gonna have a couple outhouses there and like fairly civilized.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like Castle Crash, if you've seen their toilets and their setup, it's fucking nice, and that's just out in the woods. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely inspiring.
Yeah, that's cool. I just wasn't sure how that was all going to be set up. Like, is there going to be some sort of at least some sort of office, not maybe just like you get like a trailer and you just set it up for
camping and shit.
I don't know.
Oh, for an office,
like
a main building. Yeah, there definitely needs to be like a main building for sure. And that would be my idea. Yeah, just get an old RV that's broken down or barely running, just park it out there and have that be my little main building, or whoever wants to go out there, the spot they can stay in. This particular plot of land, though, the front of it, there's a house that somebody owns and they just rent out to people. And we were like, man, if we get this land, like we're really going to look into trying to get this house because it couldn't be more than like $50,000 way out there and shit. So that would be amazing if we could get the house in front of the property. Then anybody that comes out there has a full house, a bathroom, a shower, everything to use right there on site. You know what I mean? But that's dreams there. Yeah. I would even take out a mortgage, a loan on the land or whatever. You know what I mean? Put the land up against fucking mortgage, take a loan out and buy the house if that was possible and try to do that. I don't know.
Yeah. So if you buy the land, you can then refinance the land and then use that money to buy the house. Then you got to pay that off.
Yeah, that thing.
Hopefully,
however that works.
GoFundMe.
Yeah, fucking exactly. I mean, we were only able to do 36, but we raised 36, with no park at all. Like just an idea to do this, and we're getting the land. So I feel like if we have a sick ass park and then made a GoFundMe for that, and we're like, look what a cool park we made with the money. Now we can own the house next to it. I think that would do pretty well too.
Do you have like a plan, or are you just trying to like, are you just playing it by ear, or do you have like a timeline that you'd like to?
We have a realtor we're working with, so currently we're waiting for the realtor to put in an offer to the owner of the land.
Okay, cool.
So pretty soon, man, in the next few weeks, hopefully. I don't want to bother him too much, so I've been waiting to email him back again. I just did, but I'm gonna hit him up again and be like, "Hey, we're ready. We got the cash.
We want to buy a house. We want to buy this land. We want to fly drones."
Yeah. 10 acres, man.
Are there trees on the land? Or is it mostly open?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's basically there's an old logging road where the power poles run through and everything. So there's power poles on like a good stretch of the property. And that's just all fucking maintained and shit. So we have a wide open area going the length of the property, and then trees all off to the side.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of perfect. Like we already have a road and then we can just cut down trees where we need more space.
That's sick.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Nice. I don't know. Is there anything else?
No, I want this one to happen. I want everybody to see how cool it is, and I want them to start popping up all over the country. I want there to be drone skate parks everywhere, which a few people already are doing. There's already a few other ones in the works, so we're getting there.
Which way from Pittsburgh is it?
It's like northeast.
Okay, because Pittsburgh's not far from Ohio, or far from me, I don't think.
No, that borders it pretty much.
It's kind of how far is it from Philadelphia?
4 hours, 4.5 hours, depending on traffic. So it's a hike for me, which isn't ideal for me, but whatever. 36 grand, we're gonna get what we're gonna get.
Yeah, and so you're gonna go. So you, like, what's your plan for being in the park when it starts?
I get out there as much as I can to work on it and shit. You know what I mean? Ask for volunteers in the area and shit. But I don't trust my car doing 8-hour round trip all the time. So it's like $100 to rent a car for 2 days. I'll probably just be renting a lot of cars, driving the rentals out there to work on it.
I assume you're gonna record a lot of videos out there.
Yeah, that's content gold mine. Are you kidding me? Fuck yeah, I am. I'm gonna record shit the whole way through.
Hell yeah, that's gonna be
A lot of update video. You know, I want to show everybody the progress of it. So my channel is definitely gonna be featuring a lot of like drone park building and updating and stuff in the future.
That's sick.
I'm hyped for it, man. I've been wanting to do this literally for 4 or 5 years, and I was always so nervous about just starting it, and now we're doing it and getting fantastic feedback with it. FPVPark.com.
What's the closest airport? Is it Pittsburgh?
There's smaller ones that are closer, but
Okay.
the closest big one is Pittsburgh. Yeah,
Okay.
I think most people would fly into Pittsburgh and just rent a car there and drive the 2 hours.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
I might even do that a few times instead of driving. We'll see.
I don't think I have any more questions about the FPV park, but I was just curious about all that stuff, and I never asked.
Yeah, that's it. It's just an ongoing project. You know, we just had to start it one day and fucking see where it takes us.
Exactly. The best way to do anything is just to start.
It's going well so far. Yeah, just jump on in. Yeah, fuck it. See what happens. Figure it out as you go.
Yeah, exactly. I think people try to wait to do. They're like, I want to do this thing, and then they just never do it because they're just like,
I see it
yeah.
all the time.
I mean, I have a lot of things like that, but
I personally don't like to talk about what I'm doing before I'm doing it. You know what I mean? I like to just do shit.
Cool. Is there any more podcast topics you think, or anything else you want to talk about?
Well, we're talking about DIY with the park and just doing damn things by yourself. We could segue that into BBL, Fly Tribe, and things like that.
Okay, so that's another thing I forgot about. So I do want to talk about that because when I was at Rampage, they had the Fly Tribe magazine, and I'd seen them because they subscribed to my Patreon and followed me, and I didn't know who exactly it was. I didn't know it was Billy Hackett, and I knew like Netcat was a part of it. And I knew they were all in Tampa. I knew like they were all I didn't really know what their investment was in it, but they have a whole setup. They have like a whole
As far as
like an infrastructure. Like they have like a team and everything. Like doing this magazine now. Like they have people that are working on it. They have content. Like they printed you saw the magazine, and it's nice.
yeah, I got one. It's fucking amazing.
Dude. I'm like, this is sick.
It is quality.
Yeah.
It's thick. My first thing was like, it's thick. It's a lot bigger than I thought. There's a lot of content in there.
Dude, I was like so stoked because I love print media. Like
Yeah. I get photography zines, so I'm a fan as well.
I fucking love print media, and that was just I don't know. I thought it was awesome, and so I don't know. I just want to talk about that because I think that's I think FPV is like a very interesting culture. It's not like other RC hobbies, I don't think. Because I think that RC cars, RC planes, which is a lot. There's some crossover, obviously, but we're talking about FPV drones specifically. Is just kind of a very interesting thing because you have FPV freestyle. I think is what is really interesting because you have these drones that are built like they're basically robots. They're little robots that you fly in the air and do tricks with. And that to me is just such a like wild concept.
No, a lot of times in like old industrial buildings that used to be the peak of technology at their time. You know what I mean? With all the machines and stuff in there. And now we're flying these robots that are kind of a peak of technology now around the bones, the ancient burial grounds of these.
It's very much like a cyberpunk. I don't know what else phrase to use it, but like FPV.
It is. It's a cyberpunk reality.
Cyberpunk flying these FPV drones, like, but as like an art form. You know what I mean? Like as an it's like freestyle is like, it's like an art form. For some people it's like a sport, but like for some people it's an expression of like, just like creating like cool video. You know what I mean? It's art in a sense, the way I would describe it. And it's just kind of a weird, it's kind of interesting.
I've always seen it as art, especially somebody who's a big fan of Gap-It, watching his videos, which are like little pieces of art within themselves. It definitely is an art style, an art form.
Watching cricket fly, or watching Slat. Like or even Vanover, like that stuff's all like very like
Vanover's good.
All that stuff's very like artsy.
Lux Air, Luxaer, I believe. Lux Air. He does like black and white and shit sometimes, but just the flowiest videos I've ever seen. That shit, and like perfect soundtracks every time. There's some people out there are making fucking works of arts for videos.
The way I see it is like FPV is like, it's not really as much about the drone. The drone is just the tool to carry a camera.
There was a famous quote from Gap-It that was, you can either fly the drone or you can fly the camera. You got to decide which one. And I remember that sometimes. So flying the drone would be just more like freestyle. Flying the camera is your more cinematic style and everything. And that's a good way, I think, to think about it when you're going out. Do you want to fly the drone or do you want to fly the camera?
And I think that you can do both of like a freestyle, you know what I mean? But yeah, so that's, I kind of got distracted, but that's kind of where, why I think the culture is interesting for FPV, and that we have this, like, it is kind of like skateboarding, or, you know, in that there is like a counterculture to it.
I love that part.
There is, and you have, and it's just like very accepting and open. It's like not, you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of like, I haven't really met a lot of shitty people in FPV.
Yeah. FPV for the most part is good people. Is good, open people.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course,
we all have a common goal of just having fun and making our videos.
Exactly.
You know?
So, like, I like that, and that's why I think that magazine is just like an awesome thing.
I would say them doing it themselves really kind of embodies the DIY spirit of FPV. They're not a big company. They didn't have to get funding from a big company. It was just a group of people that were like, we want to make a drone magazine, so they went out and made it. And that's FPV. You build the drone the way you want to build it and fly it the way you want to build it. You don't need anybody else. You can go do it all by yourself. You know what I mean? It is definitely a DIY fucking hobby. We're still using fucking Velcro and zip ties as like standard gear. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And
so you grab that spirit, go make the fucking magazine by yourself. People will respond positive to it.
For sure. Yeah, zip ties, double sticky tape, strapping the there's no way, like, battery attachment is just like, there's no, like, you buy
we're using Velcro. We're using 100-year-old technology.
You buy like a pre-made drone. It's like you slot the battery in and then you power it on and it flies for you. But like FPV, it's nope, figure it out. Yeah, and much. Also
I like that. I like how it kind of has a bar of entry, not gatekeeping, but bar of entry, because some people shouldn't be flying drones, as you've seen.
No, I know there's some people, like, if you can't build the drone, you probably can't fly
it. That's how it was. There was no DJI FPV. There was no bind and flies for years. You know, you didn't have people. You didn't see these TikTok videos of people flying super recklessly over the freeway and doing crazy shit, because the people, you know, that would do that didn't have the skill set to build the fucking drone. Now you can just go buy one off the internet and go fly however the fuck you want to fly.
Also, so like on top of the Flytrap, you got BBL, which is
Team BBL
your
FPV
Discord of making, and I'm still not sure exactly what they're. I like what they're doing. I'm still not exactly 100% sure what they're doing all the time.
I don't think anybody ever is, but my impression was just kind of like FPV lifestyle brand. You know what I mean? Like PAL, famously the skateboard company, made decks and stuff, and they branched out, started making lifestyle things, and that kind of became a standard. Skate companies didn't just make skateboarding stuff; they made the other lifestyle things. And I feel like that's what BBL is doing too. They're just a brand. They're like a skate brand, but for drones.
Exactly.
One of the first that's like working real actively to establish themselves. Cricket started his Mr. Steele started ethics.
Yeah.
You know, that was on the same vein. Cricket started oh god damn it. I have the shirt. God, cut this part out until I figure it out. Cricket started I can't fuck I'm drawing a blank. I'm so dumb.
I don't know what it is either.
I keep wanting to say Outhouse because I tried to start Outhouse, but I gave up on that. Mr. Steele started ethics. Cricket started New Balance. I can't remember the upvote. Oh
Elevate?
fuck, man! I can't. I'm fucking everything up. Elevate. Mr. Steele started ethics. Cricket started Elevate. I failed to start Outhouse, but these are little DIY brands, you know, popping up, making stuff for pilots, stuff for FPV. It's not super hard. You need a little bit of fucking startup and some gumption and shit, but you can get cool things made with your logo on it. You can start a cool brand, and it's super cool seeing people starting this. And BBL, I think, has the most momentum behind them right now. Like I got a bunch of BBL shit. It stands for black box logs.
Yeah.
You know, black box logs.
Maybe
BBL.
it stands for.
It stands for whatever you want it to stand for, is what I heard.
They have.
But it derived from that.
Well, yeah, it's black box logs. As
the imagery would suggest otherwise.
You decide what you want it to be about.
Yeah, it's like a Rorschach ink blot.
Exactly. The funniest thing I think about BBL is everyone asks, "How do I get on the BBL team?" And the answer they always give is just like, "Well, we don't know."
Yeah, they're figuring it out as they go. That's some of the best companies are like that. They just had an idea and they started it. Like the theme of this episode, just start.
Exactly.
If you have an idea, if you want to do something, just start. Just go do it. Don't wait till you get the best gear. Don't wait for this. Just go fucking do it.
Who's officially like in charge of BBL? Is it like do they have an organization?
I don't even know, man.
I need to ask.
I think they have kind of an anarchist power structure there. I think it's just a collective of folks. I don't think there's really a hierarchy or anything.
Okay, so
but I'm not sure. I just I'm watching them from the sidelines do shit.
Exactly. I'll have to ask Slop Tit. But
I think collective would describe it well.
Cool.
So TLDR on this podcast is the first inaugural episode of DEADCELL. We're just kind of trying to figure out our flow, figure out what we're gonna do, the format and everything. We just want to talk about a few topics that were that came up this week. You went to Rampage. We both did some long range, and I want to see more cool DIY upstart companies and shit. We Bleed FPV is a good one. Definitely can't think of any other ones right now, besides BBL and shit. Dan Z makes even some cool ass FPV shirts, some like metal themed shirts. There's definitely room for everybody. If you want, jump on in, make some cool shit for FPV. It's how skateboarding did it, and look what a big industry that is,
Yeah, and then send us the free shit.
Yeah, give us free shit. Speaking of that, we're going to be continuing this podcast. We're going to be making legit episodes. So if you do want to sponsor an episode, if you want to have a little sponsor spot and give us some money so we can buy some better shit, hit me up. What is it? DeadCellPodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions or any topics as well that you want us to fucking cover, hit us up. DeadCellPodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and your brand better not suck. Just kidding.
Yeah, it better be good, or we're going to make fun of it.
And if you want to send us cheap Amazon drones, fuck you.
yeah, don't do that. I get enough emails for that.
That's so fun. Cool. Yeah, I think that's good. I think this podcast is very exciting. I think the community is going to enjoy this.
Yeah, there's potential. There's a lot of potential. We just gotta get into our groove and shit. First 3 episodes or whatever might be a little stumbly, but we'll figure out a flow and format and all that.
Yeah, I think getting the technology set up so that like we have a good set and like.
Yeah, that'll help. Visuals will help. I'm gonna hit stop recording on mine, right?
Yeah, I'm done.